Challenge presented by LGV20, an ESPN Sonic blockbuster. We're here at Cameron Indoor Stadium where it is rocking right now. The fifth-ranked team of the nation, the Duke Blue Devils, hosting the Michigan State Spartans. It's a hostile house here this evening in Durham. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Cameron. Dan Shulman. Jay Bill is very glad you're with us for what should be a great game here tonight. The Blue Devils are still playing without 3 injured freshmen, but the guys that they do have in there are all contributing.
Yeah, they don't have 3 potential lottery picks, but they still have 5 McDonald's All-Americans. The cupboard is not bare at all, but the guys that they do have ready to play have all averaged over 10 points a game and scored over 10 points a game in each of the 7 games they've played. And the one thing you can note is 4 out of those 5 are veterans, guys that have done it before, that have experience, that have come back and are playing at a really high level.
For Michigan State, they've got 4 freshmen. All are playing significant minutes, and Miles Bridges is the leader of the pack, one of the best freshmen in the country.
Well, a lefty, to say that he's explosive is an understatement. He can score inside and out. He is leading this team in scoring, in rebounding, in block shots. The key is going to be how does he handle this atmosphere. He's getting double teamed. He's seeing a lot of different defenses. Is he going to be able to stay on the floor? Does he get in foul trouble? Will he make the right decisions? Because he is the real deal.
The first month of the season has been quite a journey for the Michigan State basketball program. With more on that, here's Maria Taylor.
Well, you're so right, Dan. Michigan State has traveled over 13,000 miles in 22 days. This is their 3rd top 10 opponent in the month of November. And Tom Izzo has even gone as far as apologizing to his team. But he said it's not about excuses or the opponent that they have played. It's about the lack of practice time and film study that they've been able to have on a team that sometimes puts 4 freshmen out on the court. Now, they did have an extended practice this week. They were able to focus on them, and senior guard Aaron Harris said it was very important to focus on their offensive keys, and they're hoping that it pays off here tonight, guys.
Hi, Maria. Thank you. They have been all over the place right now, have played a tough schedule. They're 4-3. They're unranked right now, but you know what they've gone through early will make them better late.
It should, and they've got so many young players, Dan. They've made a change in the starting lineup with Joshua Langford going in a couple games ago. They're bringing Matt McQuaid off the bench. It's a team that has played an extraordinarily difficult schedule. So 4-3 might not be where they're used to being, but they're going to get to where they're used to being by the end of the season.
And Duke was the #1 team in the nation, but after they lost to Kansas, they dropped down a bit. They're still number 5. They've won 129 straight non-conference games here at Cameron. The next longest streak in the country is Wichita State with 41. You have to go back to the year 2000 when Bootsy Thornton and St. John's defeated Duke here at Cameron. This one should be fun. Great officiating crew. Mike Eads, Roger Ayers, and Michael Stevens, and we are ready to go here in Durham. Emil Jefferson, Kenny Goins on the tip, and the first possession of the game will belong to Duke.
To start off the game, Miles Bridges is guarding Matt Jones. A lot of times you'll see Duke go at a big-time opposing player to try to get him in foul trouble early.
Jefferson rejected at the rim by Bridges. Kennard open for 3, and a push-off on Emil Jefferson.
Luke Kennard is now 2 of his last 14 from 3-point range. He was 2 of his last 13 coming into this one, missed his first one. And after the Appalachian State game, he wasn't happy with how he shot the ball. He went in the gym after the game for over 2 hours.
McQuaid off to Tum Tum Nairn. Kennard on him. Good defense by Allen, but it's out of bounds to Michigan State with 15 on the shot clock.
Well, Michigan State scripts out usually their first 6 or 7 plays almost like a football team, and you can see that Tom Izzo wants to try to get the ball into Bridges in the post.
Bridges being guarded at the moment by Emil Jefferson. We'll probably see a number of different defenders. Good shot fake by Matt McQuaid. Misses the baseline jumper, but Goins with a rebound.
2-3 zone for Duke on the out of bounds.
And Aaron Harris turns it over on a travel. Harris is a very good shooter. Michigan State needs him to be a big scorer, a real second option offensively to Bridges.
Well, he can't have a single figures game. You know, he's a guy that when Denzel Valentine was out last year, averaged about 18 points a game over that multi-game stretch. Smart defense by Bridges there not to foul. Kept his hands off and slid his feet.
The senior Matt Jones for three. And the long rebound down to Harris. Michigan State is going to look to run at every opportunity.
Well, they're a transition team. And traditionally, that's where they've been at their best. But this is a younger team. They don't always run like they're supposed to.
Backdoor cut to Nairn, and the Spartans strike first.
Boy, so far, Michigan State's movement has been very good. It's been crisp. They have not had a lot of pressure on them.
Grayson Allen playing with an injured toe, aggravated the injury in the App State game. Didn't play a whole lot in the second half. And it's really a pain tolerance thing for Allen.
Matt Jones on Bridges.
McQuaid with a drive, can't get all the way to the rim. Nairn inside, and Tom Nairn with the first 2 buckets of the game.
Frank Jackson was playing off of Tum Nairn because he knows that Nairn does not shoot it often. But Nairn still was able to beat him in the middle. That painted area, getting into the middle, both teams is going to be critical.
Kennard inside, and Duke is now 0 for 6 from the field in the early going.
Boy, the box outs, what Tom Izzo calls cutouts, have been excellent so far for Michigan State, not allowing second shots.
They're a good rebounding team. They're not as good as they normally are because they're much smaller. One of the reasons they're much smaller than they normally are. They've got some injuries as well to a couple of front court players in Ben Carter and Gavin Schilling as Aaron Harris is called for the offensive foul.
So right here, Tum Nairn catches that skip pass, and Frank Jackson just cannot give up the middle. He's a good enough defender where he can keep him on the baseline instead of letting him into the middle. Nice little back screen. It has to be better communication. Those are 2 guards that are communicating with that back pick, and Tum Nairn gets all the way to the rim. He has played very well. He had a great game against Wichita State. He had 12 assists in that ball game and played very well in the Bahamas.
And an early substitution for the Spartans. Aaron Harris just went to the bench and really got a tongue lashing from Tom Izzo. Freshman Joshua Langford checks in for Michigan State. Nairn slips, keeps the dribble alive somehow.
Michigan State has to really find a way not to turn the ball over in this game. They turn it over at a high rate. Live ball turnovers have been killing this team against better competition.
Bridges for 3. Way off. Down with a rebound, Allen.
And that's the kind of shot that usually leads to a transition opportunity.
Jefferson, the 5th-year senior, and Duke's on the board.
Tom Izzo really getting on Miles Bridges after the ball goes through the net. Don't just stand there, inbound it. You can still run off a make.
It was a big item of focus at the shoot-around today to run on misses, run on makes, run whenever they get the opportunity.
Well, Tom Izzo knows Mike Krzyzewski wants to make this Michigan State team into a half-court team, make them play 5-on-5.
Goins with a jumper, a former walk-on who's become a starter this year with some of the injuries they have, and Deontay Davis going to the NBA. Goins knocks down a mid-range jumper.
Tom Izzo trying to implore his team. They have got to start running. Good job by Bridges to make Jones catch that off the lane line.
Grayson Allen for 3.
Well, that was a little horn set. If you can make Duke catch it, extend that catch a little bit, you got a better chance. But if Grayson Allen's going to shoot it well, there's not a lot you can do because he can drive it. But really what his strength is, he's an excellent shooter.
Jones giving up some size in the matchup with Bridges, but Bridges is out on the perimeter the whole time. Well, now they may send him down into the post.
They'll get him into the post, but they usually screen him in there.
Nairn having to do it all himself. Rebound Jackson.
Yeah, Michigan State didn't run anything there.
Jackson splits the defense and lays it in. "7-2 run Blue Devils after the Spartans came up with the first 2 buckets of the night.
Michigan State wants to keep Duke out of the middle.
Boy, are they stagnant right now.
Well, they can't get an entry pass. They're trying to get the ball. They were trying to get the ball into the middle to Bridges to run a set, and they couldn't complete the pass.
Now Goins. McQuaid for 3. Got it off in time. Out of bounds to Duke when we come back.
Frank Jackson is an explosive freshman that can absolutely get to the rim. And if you give him an opening, little crossover, gets all the way and finishes oversized.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by the all-new LG V20. Life's good when you play more. And in part by Capcom. Tune in to watch the Capcom Cup.
So there's two states who both claim to be the center of the college basketball world. North Carolina, Indiana. Want to see history? Get ready for a blockbuster. Wednesday.
Two of the blue blood programs in the country, North Carolina, Indiana, meeting at an ACC Big Ten Challenge game tomorrow night. It's a sonic blockbuster tomorrow night, 9:15 here on ESPN, and two of the better scoring guards in the country.
Well, James Blackman Jr. coming off that injury from last year that kept him out. You know, there are open shots, wide open shots, and challenge shots, and James Blackman Jr. can make challenge shots. Everybody can make open shots, but I'm not sure, Dan, that any guard has played any better across the board than Joel Berry II has played for North Carolina. I think North Carolina right now is the best team in the country. Kentucky has been outstanding, but Carolina's older, and boy, are they stable. They are really, really good right now.
Allen is fouled by McQuaid on the baseline as Tom Izzo goes to his bench for Cassius Winston, Kyle Arns, and Nick Ward. Ward is a freshman in particular, playing really well. Very effective, efficient minutes. Winston the backup at the point to Tum Nairn. And Mike Krzyzewski's brought Chase Jeter into the game.
Across the board, Michigan State a little bit smaller, but Nick Ward is an outstanding big guy.
And a foul underneath going against the Spartans as Jones was battling Arns for position underneath the bucket, and Arns gets called for the foul. Arns, an AAU teammate of Luke Kennard a couple of years back. See if they wind up on one another at some point tonight. Here is Kennard leading the team in scoring and assists on the season, and he knocks down a jumper.
Well, he is way more than a shooter. He's done a great job rebounding the ball this year. One of the top rebounders on this Duke team.
Three freshmen in the game right now for Michigan State.
Duke switching a lot of the screens on some of these sets that Michigan State runs.
Cross-court Langford. Step-in jumper, good.
So he has really started to come on. Missed about 3 weeks with an injury. Started the last couple games until Matt McQuaid came back into the starting lineup for this one. Langford is an excellent prospect that's going to be really good.
Jeter, the sophomore, trying to back down Ward. Jeter getting more minutes than expected because of the injuries to all the freshmen, and a nice little jump hook.
Well, as he turned in, he was just able to knock Ward back a little bit, and that created the space. Chase Jeter played really well in the Garden against Kansas, especially on the defensive end, where that ball's got to go in the post.
Ward has it and finishes in traffic.
Pass was late, but he was wide open. Got the defender around in front, was able to hold him off just as the ball came over the top.
Ward averaging better than 10 points per game and only 16 minutes per game, and his minutes figure to go up. Michigan State, we mentioned the 13,000 miles they've traveled. Their losses were to Arizona in Honolulu, to Kentucky in New York, and then to Baylor down in the Bahamas. They did win the last game down in the Bahamas, winning the third-place game with a win over Wichita State, a game they almost gave away. So it's been kind of a rugged start to the season, in part the travel, the schedule, and in part incorporating 4 freshmen into the rotation.
Well, you can see Chase Jeter just fronting Nick Ward there, and Ward does a great job of calling for the ball and then holding off Chase Jeter until the ball gets over his head. Then he can release and go to the basket. You know, he's a big left-hander that I think has played way better than Michigan State even expected.
Jones misses the 3, and here comes Winston. Mr. Basketball in the state of Michigan last year as a high school senior. Here's Ward. Left it a little bit short. Down with a rebound, Jefferson, who is averaging better than 9 rebounds and 13 points per game. Remember, missed most of last year with a broken foot. Looked fine there, but he missed the runner. Ahead of the pack, Ward will slam it home, and the Spartans are back on top.
Boy, Duke took its foot off the gas there after missing that shot, and Michigan State taking advantage of it. Michigan State's been pushing the ball up court effectively, even though Ward didn't score that last one. he was effective in getting the ball and getting into the post early.
Allen turns it over for the Blue Devils.
Cassius Winston does a really nice job of pushing the ball up the court. See how he keeps his eyes up, and that was just a terrific rim run by Nick Ward. And the key is, how long can Ward play? You know, he just has gone out of the game now for Kenny Goins, but can he play 25 minutes in this game without getting in foul trouble?
Goins back in, Bridges back in for Michigan State as well. So is Harris. Harris driving on Allen, got by him and lays it in, and the Michigan State lead is 3.
Duke is switching those exchanges on that set when they get the ball into the middle to Bridges. The two wings are going down and coming off the low post, and Duke is switching it. They're going to have to look to slip that or drive it right away when they get a good matchup.
And Kennard might have gotten poked in the eye as he gets fouled. That'll take us to a timeout. 3-point lead for Michigan State, and when we come back, Miles Bridges, the freshman, goes 94 feet with Jay Billis here at Cameron.
The honors keep coming for Miles Bridges.
94 feet with Michigan State's Miles Bridges. What is the best dunk you've ever done, high school or college?
The best dunk I ever done was when I was in the Bahamas last year. I went baseline and I dunked on the defender.
Are you superstitious?
I just wear my headband all the time.
What's the coolest celebrity you've ever met?
The coolest celebrity I've ever met was LeBron, because that's my favorite player.
All right, who do you want to meet going forward?
I want to meet Denzel Washington because it's my favorite actor. He plays in all my favorite movies.
All right, your favorite food?
Favorite food is macaroni by far.
Macaroni by far. The pride of Flint, Miles Bridges.
So he had LeBron ahead of you in terms of best celebrity he's ever met.
Well, he's a young kid. He doesn't have his priorities in order. The easy answer was, I'm talking to him right now.
Well, the good news is freshmen have become sophomores, although he may not. He probably won't. He's got that kind of talent and may in fact be a one and done. Certainly has that kind of ability. 14-11 Michigan State leading here in Durham. Quick inbounds pass, and a 6-footer goes down for Kennard.
Really nice job by Duke in executing out of bounds underneath. Michigan State switched, and Luke Kennard took advantage of it by just going behind the initial action and finding a wide open layup.
Historically, Duke is 15-2 in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Their only 2 losses at Wisconsin and at Ohio State. They've never lost here in this event. 7-0 all-time here as Harris pulls up from the elbow and Kennard down with a rebound.
Well, Kennard got that rebound, but Frank Jackson was right there too. And he's really done a nice job of going to the defensive glass. Now take a look at this inbound play and watch Luke Kennard, number 5. Cassius Winston's going to lose vision of him and look the other way. He's just going to run right behind that switch where 2 were guarding 1 and get an easy layup. Just a really smart play and a read of the defense. You not only have to read the entire defense, you have to look at your man and look at what your man's looking at and then go the other way.
Kennard, a bigger role and a much improved player here in his second year. Now a pass nearly gets stolen by Jones, but Bridges winds up with it. He's trying to go the distance and will draw the foul.
Well, I'll tell you, Aaron Harris was really lucky there. He made a horrible pass that Tom Izzo usually calls a turnover for a touchdown. Duke was about to take that the other way to lay it in. And it was just mishandled by Matt Jones. Otherwise, that would have been a layup, foul, or both. And it turns into being 2 free throws for Michigan State.
So at the line, Bridges, you mentioned he's the pride of Flint. And, of course, the Michigan State program has a long and storied history with Flintstones, as they're known. Mateen Cleaves, Morris Peterson, Charlie Bell among them.
And this young man is extraordinarily proud of being from Flint, Michigan. And always speaks very highly of his hometown and wants to help young people there. I'll tell you what, where Michigan State right now, not to go from something serious to something lighter, but where Michigan State needs some help right now overall is at the free throw line. This team does not get to the free throw line. When they get there, they don't make them. And you come onto the road, you're going to have to make free throws.
Kind of crazy to see a team as a whole shooting just 60% from the line.
Luke Kennard there, as he was coming off that screen, stepped out of bounds. And when you step out of bounds, you cannot be the first guy to touch the ball after you do that. So even though he ran all the way to the top of the wing, because the cutter stepped out of bounds, he had to be the second guy to catch the pass.
That's a good call. It's a call you don't see very often.
You don't see it very often. That's right. And teams are running more things toward the baseline. What a steal by Matt Jones.
And now numbers for Duke. Jones to Jackson.
And Matt Jones is one of the best defenders in the country. And he's also one of the smartest players in the country. And I'd put him up with the smartest players I've seen play here at Duke.
Baseline drive. Harris around Jeter to lay it in.
Boy, what a nice play. Jeter had to switch out. Michigan State just swung the wings across the elbows. And on that catch, everybody is above the foul line. And Harris took advantage of it. He's been much more aggressive in this game.
Kennard, no. Tipped into the hands of Goins, and over the back goes Jeter to commit the foul.
That was quite a fight between Bridges and Jefferson for position down low. Those are two excellent rebounders. What a great steal by Jones. The same play that Harris just got the layup off of. He was able to step in front like a good defensive back. Then they ran it again, ran it much more effectively. And when Chase Jeter had to switch out, Aaron Harris saw it right away and attacked that mismatch.
We asked Mike Krzyzewski before the game about Matt Jones, who often goes unnoticed nationally, but is certainly appreciated to a great extent within the program. And Coach K, who's a huge Chicago Cubs fan, said, quote, he's our Ben Zobrist. He does everything. Zobrist, of course, infielder, outfielder, switch hitter, does so many different things. And Matt Jones, offensively and defensively, that kind of a player for Duke.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you did have kind of a blank look on your face.
No, that's because I'm a Dodger fan and the Cubs eviscerated the Dodgers.
That's true.
I think he's more a Corey Seager.
Yeah. Jefferson lays it in to tie it up.
Nice pass.
And they're running again. Goins will finish strong.
And that's after a made basket. Duke made a great play to score, and then right away Michigan State has gotten off to a start that I don't think Tom Izzo would have expected. I know he's happy about it, but I don't know that you could have expected this.
Jackson tries to split the defense, shovels it over to Jones, and Duke retains possession.
Duke's compacted right now. They need to get spread. This compact floor really helps Michigan State.
Kennard off the glass and good, and we're tied again.
Well, he can not only shoot it, he can drive it. We've noted what a better rebounder he's become this year, and he's also become a much better defender.
I mean, he's gone from complimentary player last year to right at the core of what they do this year. The injuries, a part of it. Brandon Ingram, of course, moving on to the NBA. More minutes and a bigger role available for Luke Kennard, and he has really stepped up this year. Jackson called for the offensive foul.
Boy, that's a great play by Tum Tum Nairn because he was backing up. He had 2 feet on the floor facing the ball handler. You don't necessarily have to be set as long as you're not moving underneath or moving in. But you can see he's right in front of him. That's actually a really good call by the official. Usually the charges seem to go another way for most, but that was an excellent play by Tum Tum Nairn.
You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Maria Taylor here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. The Duke Blue Devils and the Michigan State Spartans tied at 19. 7:50 to go here in the first half. So the 3 freshmen for Duke, still none of them has played a meaningful minute. They haven't played in a regular season game at all. But Harry Giles going through a warm-up before the game. Jason Tatum was in uniform. He had a workout earlier today. Marquise Bolden was doing some stuff before the game as well. So although there is no timetable, Jay, for the return of any one of the 3, they all do appear to be making some progress.
They do. Harry Giles looked very good in practice yesterday. Jason Tatum had a couple of different workouts. It's only a matter of time. It's just there's no timetable. But Jason Tatum was saying after his workout he feels close. Who knows what that means? I don't. But ooh, that's
that should
good
be a
basket.
goaltend, right? Yes, and it does count. So a basket and a foul. All started by the Chase Jeter block at the other end.
There's a mismatch. One thing Duke has done a really good job of over the years and has done early in this game is taking advantage of a mismatch. You had Matt McQuaid, who was switched off onto Emil Jefferson. And boy, Jefferson did not have a great game against Kansas up in the Garden, but since then He has been excellent. Had 2 15-rebound games up in Connecticut against Penn State and Rhode Island. Last 4 games, he's been truly outstanding.
Back from the broken foot last year, and how much have they needed Jefferson back this year with Bolden, Giles, and Tatum all injured and unable to play so far. Already 7 points, 5 rebounds on the night for Jefferson, and now some pressure from Duke.
Boy, Matt Jones could have been up a little more to try to take that ball away. Duke going with a press after the made free throw. They don't have a lot of foul trouble, so they can get some pressure.
Ward with a spin and a reverse. Nicely done to make it a 1-point game.
Boy, he is really good. Left-handed. He's got great feet. I think he's been a very pleasant surprise. Michigan State knew he was good. I don't think they knew he was this good or this prepared to play at this high a level.
Jefferson turns and faces on Ward. Now tries to back him down. The kick to Jones for 3. Great rebound by Jeter.
Jeter just pushed Miles Bridges under the basket and did a nice job of wedging him right under and taking away that offensive rebound.
And how about the job Jefferson and Jones have done on Bridges? He's got 1 point. He's got 4 points in the game. How about the first clean look he's really gotten tonight?
Well, he's going to see a lot of different defenses and a lot of defenders throughout the course of the year. When he gets the ball in the post, people have been doubling. It really happened in the game against Kentucky where he only had 6 points. He turned it over 8 or 9 times. Did have 12 rebounds.
Allen gets it off and draws the foul on Alvin Ellis III.
Now watch Chase Jeter here. He's got Bridges trying to box him out. Actually, Bridges never even turned and looked, and he just wedged him right underneath with a little shove. And Bridges, when he catches it, he's an excellent shooter, but you got to be there on the catch and make him put it on the ground. Even though he's a spectacular finisher, I still think you can't let him have catch and shoot opportunities.
Bridges has made 13 of his last 26 threes. Thursday night got a good one for you, as hard to believe it'll be December on Thursday. We'll kick off the month with Cincinnati and Iowa State, 9 o'clock Eastern time here on ESPN. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. The ACC Big Ten Challenge continues tomorrow night. 6 more games tomorrow night on ESPNU, ESPN2, and ESPN. Will be in Louisville as the Cardinals host Purdue. Also North Carolina at Indiana in one of the late games tomorrow night.
Michigan State going with their elbow series. One thing that's going to be big in this game, I still think, even though there haven't been a lot of fouls, is the free throw line. Michigan State more of a jump shooting team. That's an offensive foul.
And Langford gets called for it. And Allen may have hit the back of his head on the floor as he took the charge.
Michigan State more of a jump shooting team. Duke likes to drive it. And when you're aggressive driving the ball, you shoot more free throws. And Duke's got 4 different guys that shoot over 80%. Look, he hit Chase Jeter's leg there. That wasn't the floor. It was took a little knee in the back of the head.
2-point lead for Duke. 5.5 to go in the first half. Jones the kick. Allen the drive. Lost it. And the Spartans come up with it.
Allen's been making what a pass. Oh. What a beautiful pass. This team is really running in this game and taking advantage of Duke's transition defense. Boy, that was a big-time look.
They are executing the game plan that Tom Izzo put in to run whenever they can. Kennard in some traffic, finds Jones.
I think against Michigan State, you've got to use ball fakes and shot fakes.
Jefferson, offensive foul as he knocked down Arns, so that'll be the second on Emil Jefferson.
All these are good calls. They're all good calls. But I'll tell you what, some of these guys are falling in ways that people don't fall with that kind of contact. Now watch Arns' shoulders hit the ground. Now he looked like he got hit by a linebacker there, and he didn't. He got a little bump. And I think the officials, when they call these, they can't fall for some of these things. What a pass. That is unbelievable.
That was Cassius Winston with the pass. The freshman at point guard, averaging about 4 assists per game for the Spartans. And with less than 5 minutes to go in the first half, Michigan State's got a chance to reclaim the lead.
Michigan State not sure what they're running right here. They were a little slow getting into it.
So Langford will just drill a 3. How about that?
And he is a confident player. You mentioned Cassius Winston. It's amazing how good of a passer he can be. I mean, Tom Izzo's already said that He's maybe the best passer they've had since Magic Johnson. That's pretty impressive.
That's not bad. Allen with the answer at the other end to tie it up.
Bad pass. Just said he was the best since Magic Johnson. He throws it out of bounds. That's just an angle issue. You take one more dribble. Even if Nick Ward catches that, it's leading him out of bounds. And he's telling him right now, you've got to take a dribble, get a better angle. Because all of a sudden he's got to break contact and go get the ball. Even if he catches it in an area he can't do anything with it.
The Spartans getting about 37 points per game from their freshman class. All 4 of them in key roles for this team. They lost some really good players from last year's team, starting with Denzel Valentine.
Denzel Valentine, Brent Forbes, Matt Costello. Boy, really good execution by Luke Kennard. Not going too fast, reading the defense.
8 now for Kennard. Bridges the jumper over Jefferson. Too strong. Ward runs it down.
That was a really nice job by Jefferson of making Bridges take that shot.
And Langford misses the 3. Kennard down with the board for Duke.
This is a really big 3-minute, 30-second stretch in this game. You've got a young Michigan State team led mostly by freshmen on the road. Can they get into halftime with this being a close game and them being up?
Ward. Tough shot. Oh, and missing the follow is Bridges, but it bounces out to Nairn.
Boy, sometimes a missed dunk is more impressive than a made one.
Yep. And now a turnover. Boy, Tom Izzo is not going to like that one at all.
Well, he won't like it, but at least it didn't go the other way.
Yep.
At least they get to play 5-on-5.
Timeout on the floor. 3:03 to go. We got a good one going on here at Cameron. And thank you. 3:03 to go in the first half here. Duke with a 2-point lead on Michigan State as we send it down to Maria Taylor.
Well, Dan, right now, Tom Izzo not happy with his team's shot selection. He really got after Miles Bridges, saying it was a bad shot, taking it just one pass into the offense. He's asking his team for better ball movement to finish out this half.
They have taken more threes recently than they did earlier in the game. And in fact, they've taken a lot of threes this year. This is a different kind of Michigan State team without as many big bruisers in the middle as you normally expect.
Well, it's not the amount of threes they're taking. It's when they're taking it. And you take it off one pass, or you take it because you haven't run good offense and you don't have rebounders, then all of a sudden a bad shot becomes the first pass in your opponent's fast break. And there are a couple times where Michigan State's transition defense was put in a real quandary because they took a bad shot. That's just the same thing essentially as a turnover.
Grayson Allen at the line and now for Duke. As we mentioned, playing with a bad toe. Suffered initially in the Kansas game, aggravated over the weekend in the Appalachian State game. Hey, tomorrow night at 9:15 Eastern time here on ESPN, it's another Sonic blockbuster ACC Big Ten Challenge matchup between number 3 North Carolina, number 13 Indiana, also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. That's got the feel of one that's going to get up and down between the Hoosiers and the Tar Heels. Probably a high-scoring affair as Grayson Allen, a 90% free throw shooter on the season, misses both.
Well, he's also missed some open shots. Oh, shoot. He's had 2. Miles Bridges had 2 missed dunks that were almost as impressive as he made it. I mean, Tom Izzo would like to see him make some granny layups as long as he could have the points, but still pretty impressive to watch. But Grayson Allen doesn't really look like himself in this game. He's missed wide open shots. He's missed free throws, and that toe injury can't be helping the situation.
The 3 and the rebound to Harris.
Now that's a shot that he makes often, but I still think he's settled there.
Harris pulls up and knocks it down to tie the game.
Well, he is such a good player when he's aggressive. We saw him in one of the games in the Bahamas. I think it was against Wichita State. He had a wide open 3 in transition in early offense. He didn't take it. And I thought Tom Izzo was going to kill him for a shot that he didn't take.
Jefferson the offensive rebound. And that'll be a goaltending call. Are you sure? Tom Izzo saying, well, here's the play you were talking about. Aaron Harris with a wide open three. Forget about Harris. He doesn't take it. Look to the right of your screen and watch Tom Izzo's reaction when Harris passes up an open three.
Oftentimes coaches look at you like that when you take a bad shot. But sometimes it's a bad play not to take a good shot.
Yep.
And you're going to work awfully hard. Duke now in a 2-3 zone. You got Luke Kennard and Matt Jones out front. Grayson Allen along the baseline.
Harris the drive and the back out to Bridges. Still plenty of time on the shot clock. Winston cut off and threw it away.
Boy, that would be a bad play in a high school game.
And the ball went up and hit the shot clock, so that'll turn it back over to Michigan State. So the Spartans don't pay the price for that turnover.
Right now, Michigan State needs to do a better job. They run a lot of good sets against zones. And Duke looks like they're back into man-to-man after showing one possession of zone.
And Tom Izzo will use a timeout with 1:02 left here in the first half. 7 ties, 5 lead changes, 2-point lead, Duke. After we finish up here, stick around for SportsCenter at night with Scott Van Pelt. He'll have a complete breakdown of our game and wrap up the day the SVP way with all the highlights and sports news. SportsCenter at night next right here on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Maria Taylor, Cameron Indoor Stadium. ACC Big Ten Challenge, Duke 33, Michigan State 31.
Back to the zone, and they're going to look for Aaron Harris along the baseline. Good pass.
In the middle to Bridges, and we're tied again.
There's the set play. Aaron Harris comes off the double. And if Grayson Allen comes off that double and looks for Aaron Harris, then Bridges just steps into the middle. That's a really well-designed play.
On the offensive glass, Emil Jefferson.
A little bit of a difference in the shot clock and game clock, 5 seconds or so. Michigan State can take the shot clock basically all the way down and still have some time for an offensive rebound opportunity.
Unranked Michigan State, number 5 Duke, and it's been close throughout. Winston inside, scoops it up and in to tie it again.
Boy, they are giving up middle easily, and Mike Krzyzewski is really upset with his team. Michigan State just driving to the basket, something that Duke needs to do a better job of on its end. You see, really poor job off the pick and roll by Chase Jeter. They were either supposed to ice that. If they were supposed to ice it, then it needed to be called. And Luke Kennard needed to get on the side to keep that. Icing means keeping it to one side. And it looks like from what Chase Jeter was doing, they must have been trying to ice it. And if they're icing it, that means that Luke Kennard's got to jump up and keep it onto that same side and drive it down toward the corner. But there's got to be communication. And if that was what the call was, then it wasn't communicated properly.
And there's graphically what you're talking about. Duke not doing a great job protecting the paint. Michigan State with 22 points in the paint already in the first half. And whatever happens in the last 15 seconds, Tom Izzo's got to be pretty pleased overall with what's happened here tonight.
I think you come on the road, Dan, with a really young basketball team that has had some challenges early in the season, and you absorb a couple body blows and you deliver a few yourself, and you're in this kind of game. I think he's got to be very, very pleased with the way his team played.
Kennard to Allen, 7 seconds. Runner no good. Down with a rebound. Nairn bounces free. Now Nairn has it, and he's got some time.
Didn't get it off.
And that will bring the first half to a close. They're in a dead heat after 20 minutes here at Cameron in a game that swung back and forth all night long. 9 ties and 5 lead changes. And it's 35-35 heading to halftime here in this big game. Maria Taylor is with Tom Izzo.
Coach, you've seen a man, you've seen a zone, and you've seen a press. How's your team handled the different looks from Duke?
Well, we haven't moved the ball very well is the problem. We got to get Miles a lot more active. We're not moving the ball. The ball's staying. Everybody's just hanging on. And we're going one-on-one. That's their game. That's not our game. They do a great job of penetrating. But we got to get the ball moving. I like the way we attacked the zone. That wasn't a problem. The press wasn't a problem. It's our man offense. They're taking us out of some things.
And defensively, what have you seen, and how do you continue to contain Duke shooters?
Well, if we could rebound, you know, but we got to get Kenny Goins going on the boards. I think Jefferson's hurting us on the boards, and each one of them have been put back. So we got to do a little better job cutting out. We'll do that.
All right, thanks.
35-35 at halftime. 20 great minutes still to come here from Cameron Indoor Stadium between the Spartans and the Blue Devils. Now time for the halftime report. Let's send it back to the studio with Adnan, Seth, and Jay. Welcome back to the ACC Big Ten Challenge presented by LG V20 and ESPN Sonic Blockbuster. And what a good first half we had between the Michigan State Spartans and the Duke Blue Devils. In fact, it is all tied at 35 going to the second half. Hi again, everybody. Welcome back to Cameron. Along with Jay Billis, I'm Dan Schulman. And we said part of the game plan for Michigan State was run, run, run whenever they could. They did a pretty good job of that.
They really did. They ran off some miscues by Duke, some turnovers. They ran off of made field goals. They got the ball down court as quickly as possible. And they scored 7-8 points in transition pretty early in the game. And that got them going a little bit. And I think the start that Michigan State got off to calmed them down a bit in this difficult environment. But both teams have to do a better job of guarding the ball. Both teams are giving up dribble penetration, and then Michigan State has to do a better job on the offensive glass because Emil Jefferson had 11 points in that first half along with 7 rebounds. But you know, I think all in all, Michigan State has to feel very good that they've gone 20 minutes in this building with a young team and are tied.
Second chance points, a big advantage for Duke. 6 offensive rebounds into 8 points. Michigan State had 5 offensive rebounds but didn't convert on any as we sent it down to Maria.
Well, the focus in Duke's locker room during the halftime break was communication on both sides of the ball. Jeff Capel saying that defensively they were not doing a good job in defensive transition, communicating, talking about who's going to have the passing lane and who is going to have a foot in the paint, and also said offensively no one's echoing the sets they should be in right now.
All right, Maria, thank you. Tum Nairn misses a fadeaway jumper.
When Maria says echoing, what Duke likes to do is when somebody calls something out, Coach K calls it echoing commands. He wants everybody to call it out. Kind of like in baseball, Dan, when the shortstop says 2, everybody else calls out 2 outs, you know?
Kennard, count the bucket, and he's fouled.
Michigan State wants to keep Duke out of the paint, out of the middle. If you can make him drive toward the baseline, that's a better drive. But you get into the middle, and all of a sudden things tend to break down. And Matt McQuaid trying to stay straight up. But that was a nice job of Luke Kennard, not going up right away, but pivoting and getting an angle.
Third foul on McQuaid, who has not been a factor tonight. Just 8 minutes in the first half. Didn't score. Very good shooter. Michigan State only 2 for 7 from 3. Duke only 2 for 11 from 3 as Harris rattles one home for the Spartans.
Boy, Harris looked more locked in this game than any game since Florida Gulf Coast.
Deep one for Allen. And 2 Spartans collide. It'll be Duke ball. Looked like Harris or Goins could have had that, but they bumped into each other.
But Grayson Allen has really struggled in this game to shoot the ball. He is shooting it in a similar fashion to what he did against Kansas. He has had a bunch of wide open looks and hasn't been able to drop them in.
Down with the rebound is Bridges. You didn't see it in the first half. He had 2 spectacular missed dunks. Incredible plays that he got to the rim but couldn't finish either one of them. One was on an offensive rebound, one on a spin move into the paint. Harris for Goins. Goins gathers, now gets it out of there to Harris. Langford inside, scoops it up and in, and the Spartans are back on top.
Boy, Harris could have taken that shot when it was passed back out, but that was a great pass to Joshua Langford, and Langford drove it right to the rim.
Boy, Michigan State got lucky there. Nobody had Grayson Allen. There was no communication, but Duke didn't find him in time. Now he hooks his way around a defender and ties the game. Double figures for Allen.
Michigan State did. The good job they did there was not fouling. Because getting in a situation where you get beat off the dribble, what young teams tend to do is compound the error by fouling, and Michigan State didn't do that. And right now, some of Michigan State's best players don't have any fouls.
Harris to Nairn. Sorry, Jay, go ahead.
Well, you can take a chance off Tum Nairn because he is not a shooter.
Not a good pass there. Stolen away by Allen. He'll reverse it. Won't stay down for him. And Nairn will lead the Spartans into the front court.
Now, oftentimes you see Frank Jackson coming off of Tum Nairn, and you can come off of him and be a help defender, and then when Nairn gets it, all you have to do is take away the drive, because he is not He's been a reluctant shooter.
Although when he shoots it, he's shooting it better this year. He made 3 threes against St. John's and is 5 for 10 on the season from beyond the arc. Going, shot clock running down, and that's a violation. Didn't get it off in time.
And that's the guard's fault. They've got to know that. When you reverse the ball, you've got to know that you are sending it inside with no time on the clock. That's like giving a big guy a hand grenade with a pin pulled out. Now, you have to take that shot.
You mentioned earlier, Jay, turnovers have been a problem for the Spartans this year, better than 15 a game. They're at 10 already here tonight.
Well, they've turned it over, but the good news for Michigan State on their turnovers is they haven't been live ball turnovers that Duke could take the other way for layups. That's what's been killing Michigan State.
Jackson way long on the 3. They're running again. They got numbers. Bridges will cross over, get inside, and score.
When Frank Jackson went straight up there, there was body contact, but Bridges able to absorb that contact. But you see how he kept his eyes on the rim, never took his eyes off the rim. And when you do that, you have a great opportunity to finish a play.
Jones the handoff for Allen. Langford stays with him. Step back 3, got it.
Boy, just that one drive where Grayson Allen was able to lay it in, let him see the ball go through the basket, and then he's able to knock down what I think was his first jump shot.
Harris inside. Ward puts Michigan State back on top.
And Emil Jefferson has been so important for this Duke team all year long, but especially in this game. Could have picked up his 3rd foul there.
Jay, you've got 4 freshmen in the game right now for Michigan State, and they're playing awfully well tonight.
Yeah, better get used to seeing that because you're going to see a lot of it.
Allen again. Heating up here in the second half.
Can't go underneath the screen on Grayson Allen. You've got to run him off the 3-point line. And he's ready to shoot now. You can see he's starting to feel it. Now here's the double team off the cutter.
Ward needs some help.
Picked up his dribble. You got to dribble out of that.
Bridges inside, draws the foul. And the pace and the intensity we saw in the first half has continued right here into the early stages of the second half as they continue to trade the lead back and forth. Grayson Allen heating up, a couple of threes here in the second half. Duke by 1.
Can't go under, baby.
You're watching the ACC on ESPN. One of the long jumpers for Grayson Allen was scored at 2. They had a look at it. They changed it to a 3. So it's 46-44. Allen heating up here in the second half. All of a sudden he's made 4 threes in the game. He's got 16 points.
Well, he looks more like Grayson Allen in the second half than he did in the first.
And this will be a big night for him. He is on the verge of some history. About to pass the Billustrator for 57th on Duke's all-time scorer.
Do they stop the game when he does it? There's a ball presentation or something? Do I have to go out in the court and congratulate him?
You know, I think you're handling this very graciously. I think you're really doing a nice job.
He is one of a million players passing that number.
Kennedy Meeks, we ran that graphic when he started a game with exactly your point total last week. Now happening right within the Duke family. Emil Jefferson playing with some intensity tonight. Duke leads by 3.
And with that pass, Grayson Allen just exceeded my assist total. But that was a great pass off the switch. Nick Ward switched off and nobody's picked up Emil Jefferson as he just rolled to the basket. That's 2 veteran players taking advantage of a young team in communication on defense.
I'm thinking 1,062 at all programs. Duke, Carolina, around Division I. Really, it should be commemorated in some way. Don't you?
Yeah, kind of like Roberto Clemente's number 21 used all around the league. A lot of similarities with that. Yeah.
Ward down with a rebound. Arns back into the game for Michigan State. Ellis has checked in as well.
Ball's got to start going inside. Nick Ward is open.
Winston, 18-footer. And down with the rebound is Jefferson, putting up a big night.
And Duke's sending all 5 guys to the defensive glass. They can't let Emil Jefferson be all by himself. So all the guards going down there to rebound as well.
Jefferson's now got 13 points, 10 rebounds. That's his 4th double-double in his last 5 games.
Duke just run a little horn set. And Michigan State keeps going under on Grayson Allen. There's the pass inside, and here's the double team.
Ward gets in between the defenders and draws the foul.
Anytime the ball goes inside, Michigan State's running a cutter off the post, and the cutter's defender is going to double. And I think they're going to have to change that up. See, watch as Winston goes. Grayson Allen jumps off and doubles the post, and Nick Ward did a really nice job of handling it. But I think Michigan State's going to have to alter the way they cut. They may have to just do a split in the post where the wing and the corner just split to move.
You know, Ward has been, as we mentioned in the first half, so efficient. That was the third foul, by the way, on Jefferson. Ward has been so efficient on a per 40-minute basis so far this year, Jay. He scores about 27 points per game. Now, he doesn't play all that much, but he's got now 82 points in 121 minutes on the season.
The lefty's done a really nice job. You know, he's one of the top 40 players in the country out of high school last year, as rated by ESPN, and Paul Biancardi, the great staff that he has. He has proven to be a really good post guy.
And you wonder if the next time they get a chance they'll go right back into Ward, try to get Jefferson to pick up his fourth. Jefferson trying to answer at the other end, and Ward got all of that, and now it's numbers for Michigan State. Winston will lay it in.
Boy, what a great job by Nick Ward to back up so that he didn't have contact with Emil Jefferson. He could get up and block that shot. You know, Jefferson's a savvy player and tried to get into his body, but Ward wouldn't allow it.
12th tie of the game.
Joshua Langford keeps going underneath on these dribble handoffs, screens, and exchanges. And the more you go under on Luke Kennard and Grayson Allen, they're going to pull up and shoot that ball. Boy, what a great block. See how he moved backwards there and just didn't let the contact into the body by Emil Jefferson anchor him to the ground. And another transition basket off the block shot. These are easy scorers for Michigan State where they don't have to go. That's a similar play. Duke's run out of bounds where they've gotten a layup on the opposite side of where the ball is being inbounded. That time it was Grayson Allen. In the first half it was Luke Kennard. And just a lack of communication. Just a really good job to take his man down the lane. He's guarding him on the outside. He just goes away from the contact and is able to get a layup.
I guess they're not going to stop the game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
He just passed you.
No regard for history here.
19 now for Allen. 11 of them here in the first 6.5 minutes of the second half.
We have to remember, Dan, I didn't have the benefit of the three-point shot.
You know, that's an excellent point to make. 51-48 Blue Devils. ACC Big Ten Challenge. And a foul on Ward.
I'm not sure that Ward made any contact with anybody. It looked like Frank Jackson just fell down, but maybe there was contact foot to foot.
I think he inadvertently tripped him. Yeah. Although Jackson may have actually stepped on his foot, so not a whole lot Ward could do. Look at that from Jackson at the other end. And this is the largest lead of the night for the Blue Devils. And now a foul is called.
Frank Jackson is the best athlete on this Duke team. Miles Bridges, the best athlete on the Michigan State team, but that's a terrific move into the middle and then bounces up off that second jump. You know, they can throw lobs to him. He is dynamic getting to the rim.
Third foul on Jackson. Remember, it's not a deep Duke team because of the injuries. The Blue Devils have only had 6 players in the game tonight.
And Michigan State's not a driving team. They're more of a jump shooting team, but I think they have to drive it.
Late whistle, but it did look like the right call. The foul there committed by the Blue Devils.
Yeah, it was the right call. Jones reached with his left arm and fouled him. But I think Michigan State's got to continue to put pressure on the lane and pressure on the rim off the drive.
Boy, a 5-point margin seems like a ton the way that this game's gone tonight. Tip back up and in by Ward. Wave it off. Basket interference.
That must be what they called.
I didn't see a signal other than it's being waved off. Was the ball above the cylinder?
At this angle, we're 90 feet above the court. It's hard for us to tell.
Jackson with a left hand, and the lead grows to 7. And now a turnover. And Tom Izzo might need a timeout. Doesn't look like he's going to take one, as they're about to blow the roof off this place.
Those are 2 freshmen inbounding the ball against pressure. And miscommunicated. Now all of a sudden it's another out-of-bounds play. Duke going 4 across, and Michigan State in man-to-man. Now it's going out of bounds on the side.
7-0 run since the game was tied at 48.
They've had great success with Frank Jackson driving it. Don't be surprised. Now they're going open angle.
And Jackson into some traffic, lucky to maintain possession. Now Kennard pulls up at the free throw line. 9-0 run Blue Devils.
That was a big-time shot fake by Luke Kennard, and now Tom Izzo wants a timeout. Frank Jackson, just a freshman from the state of Utah, is excellent off the dribble. Turns down the ball screen, takes it the other way, lays it up with the left hand, and then kicks it back out to Luke Kennard with a great shot fake and lefty pull-up.
Well, you don't need to give them much of a reason to have a good time here at Cameron, but a 9-0 run's a pretty good reason. It was tied at 48, and now Duke is up 57-48. What's changed in the last couple of minutes?
Well, Grayson Allen has been much better. Frank Jackson has been really dynamic, and Michigan State has made some key errors. They have not run really good offense when they've been in 5-on-5 situations in their half court. That turnover on the inbounds play was a big play. And right now, Michigan State needs to score to calm themselves down. This can get out of hand in a hurry if Michigan State doesn't run much better offense.
Because that was a called timeout. We've got another media timeout coming at the first whistle under 12. So the next whistle, they'll go right back into a timeout. McQuaid, who's been quiet tonight, back into the game playing with 3. Bridges called for the offensive foul.
Boy, late call by Mike East, but it was the right call. But that was really late.
And now we'll have the under 12 media timeout. Take another look at the call. The second foul on Bridges, who looked like he just said, I didn't push him. He got called for it, though.
Wasn't much of a push.
We gon' blow your mind.
There have been 17 ACC Big Ten challenges. The ACC won the first 10. And now the Big Ten's 5-0-2 in the last 7. Maryland, which has switched sides in this challenge, they lost again tonight. They lost to Pittsburgh, so they're 0-3 as a Big Ten team. Duke, as we mentioned in the first half, the best record, 15-2. Their only losses at Wisconsin and at Ohio State. Purdue has won 7 in a row. We'll see if they can continue that tomorrow night. You and I will get a chance to see them in Louisville tomorrow night.
You know, the Big Ten ACC Challenge is really fun, but which conference wins more games in a given year doesn't really tell you anything. I mean, last year the Big Ten won the challenge, and then, you know, the ACC has 6 teams go to the Sweet 16, 4 to the Elite 8, 2 to the Final 4, and really a remarkable performance in the tournament. And Michigan State keeps going underneath these screens. Duke's got to look to shoot right away.
Kennard doesn't get the shot, but a foul underneath going against Kenny Goins. And a lot of visible frustration on the faces of the Spartans the last couple of minutes.
Well, they can't let it show. They have to keep playing. So instead of holding your arms out like Goins is doing, you know, Michigan State needs to get together and prepare for their out-of-bounds underneath defense,
which has burned them twice in this game.
Yeah, and you don't want to give up layups. A lot of coaches call that like it's like a special teams in football. Quick fake.
Allen got Goins in the air, drives by him, and
it should be good. That basket should be good.
That's what the bench is saying. I don't know if any of the officials saw it.
I thought it was pulled. Maybe they called on the floor. I thought it was pulled off of the. Backboard. Good fake. You got a mismatch. That hit the backboard. I mean, you can see that.
Definitely goes down.
Yeah. It's a missed call. I don't know what the officials were looking at, but
Mike Krzyzewski just says you can see it up there on the replay.
And Michael Stevens telling we're not allowed to look at the replay on that. They may say it, so we missed it. Sorry. Sometimes you miss them.
And Allen continues to put Jay Bilas in his rearview mirror.
He's not the only one. You wish you could.
I'm only 1,062 behind.
No, I thought you just meant as a partner.
Oh, generally?
As a broadcast partner.
Well, that's an off-air discussion. We should have that. An 11-0 run now for Duke. Bridges no. Jeter the rebound.
Well, Duke has not turned the ball over in the second half, and they've done a much better job of guarding the ball. And Michigan State has had to settle for some jump shots that they perhaps didn't want a couple of times where late clock situations. Got to go. Aaron Harris needed to get that outlet.
Goins over Jeter and a foul. And after not a lot of fouls in the first half, they're starting to pile up a little bit here in the second half. Thursday night, we've got Cincinnati and Iowa State coming your way. 9 o'clock Eastern time here on ESPN. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN. Monte Morris, one of the best point guards in the country.
One of the top 5 in the country. Great passer. Has also turned into an outstanding scorer. And Deontay Burton, the left-hander that transferred in from Marquette, has really come into his own. He's such a powerful athlete.
He's a load.
It is so difficult to guard. Like, how do you match up with him?
Free throw for Goins will break the 11-0 run for the Blue Devils. Emil Jefferson back into the game for Duke.
Right now for Michigan State, this is going to be a really good basketball team. They're good now, but they're going to be really good by the end of the year. But right now, it doesn't feel like they've got a go-to player. And I thought it was going to be Aaron Harris. Miles Bridges is still so young. And that's asking a lot, even for a guy that's as talented as Bridges is. They're trying to do one thing at a time, and when you throw them into a test like this.
Jones with an air ball, and back comes Harris. Good play by Allen to tip it away. Bridges was calling for the lob. McQuaid for 3. Huge bucket for the Spartans.
Boy, that loose ball, and what a great pass by Tum Tum Nairn, and Matt McQuaid was ready to shoot as the ball arrived. That was a huge play for Michigan State.
And it's back down to 6 after it was 11 moments ago. Jefferson working hard for position, doesn't get the roll. The ball's inbounded and nobody saw it. Bridges had to just throw it into play because he was going out of bounds, but everybody else had turned their back on him. And it winds up in a 3-point bucket for Frank Jackson.
Boy, it has been so difficult for Duke to get threes to drop, and after a loose ball situation, get one to go down.
Bridges inside, has it swatted away. Kennard comes up with it. Into Jefferson. And the foul going against Miles Bridges. That will be his 3rd.
Bridges was on the ground, and Emil Jefferson, I don't know whether he fell over him, he got tripped, what happened. But after the turnover by Michigan State, that was a great job by Frank Jackson to go after that ball and then gets a wide open shot off the penetration by Grayson Allen. That's just really well done. I wonder if the officials are going to go look at this, because if they called a foul on Bridges on the ground, like what happened? Did he just fall over him? That's an odd play for a guy on the ground to be called with a foul.
And Bridges will head back to the bench, as will Goins. Bridges has had his moments here in this game, but I think for the most part Duke has been able to hold him in check.
Yeah, they've done
it now for the Blue Devils.
Well, Duke has done a nice job of doubling Bridges when he gets the ball inside. They've gone off a cutter. They've gone off the baseline side at times. Take another look at this and what happened after Bridges goes down here.
Jefferson trips over him.
Yeah, I don't know how that's a foul, but doesn't look like anything intentional, but just seems like an odd. You don't see that very often. If a guy usually falls down, you're not calling a foul on him for falling down.
One of 2 for Jefferson. 14 points, 11 rebounds on the night. Duke by 10. Harris baseline got pushed by Jackson, and that is the 4th foul on Frank Jackson.
Well, and that's why I think Michigan State wants to continue to drive the ball. And put the ball on the deck and put Duke in a position to foul.
And Duke will use a timeout. Cassius Winston with some thoughts for Miles Bridges on the Michigan State bench. Tomorrow night, 9:15 Eastern time here on ESPN. It's another Sonic blockbuster ACC Big Ten Challenge matchup, and it should be a lot of fun. Number 3 North Carolina, number 13 Indiana, two teams with great offenses. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN as we show you a couple of the key players heading into this game. Kennedy Meeks for North Carolina. Thomas Bryant should be a big-time battle in the middle.
Well, Kennedy Meeks is a senior, and he has played excellent basketball to start this season. He's been great on the glass. He has been very good inside. He's just a stable performer that is playing very consistently at a high level. Thomas Bryant, just a sophomore, but already one of the best players in the country. But we saw North Carolina for 3 consecutive games in Maui at the Maui Jim Maui Invitational.
Oh, I love Maui. I love my bike.
But I was stunned at just how good I knew North Carolina was going to be good. They're better at this point in the season than they were last year. Yeah. And I think right now North Carolina is the best team in the country. That doesn't mean they will be later, because Kentucky's going to keep getting better. Kentucky's number 2 now in my book, but they could very well be number 1 later.
Boy, what a performance by Kentucky in the Bahamas last night in that win over Arizona State. McQuaid, and a bump by Jones will result in a foul on him. That'll be his 3rd.
Michigan State was not running really good offense there, but wound up essentially getting bailed out by that foul. Not bailed out by the officials, but bailed out by Duke fouling them so far out on the perimeter. And for any time that Michigan State drives it, they're going to have the opportunity to step to the line and score with no defense on it and shoot free throws.
Both teams into the bonus with 8:50 to go. Bridges on the bench with 3.
Right now, I don't think the officials need to talk to the players. Call a foul or don't call a foul. If there was no foul, then you don't have to have a big discussion about it. But there's nothing to talk about here. They should have called a foul, and they didn't. So let's go.
Ward explaining to his bench what he feels Jeter did to him.
You know, in the old days, the official used to stand next to the low man on the first free throw, and they'd be able to talk a little bit. But now, because of positioning, things have changed, and I think it's a lot harder for the officials to be able to talk to the players during the course of the game. Well, I'm not look, these officials do a great job of communicating with the players. I'm just not a big fan of having to explain things. Just call the fouls. They're in charge.
Offensive foul, Grayson Allen. Number 2 on him. How many offensive fouls have we seen? 7 or 8 in the game?
Well, there have been a lot, and I think they've all been good calls. I just think that players are selling these too much. And when you allow the players to sell it, then you're going to get sold a bill of goods at certain times. And just like kind of on the one drive by Miles Bridges, did he put his arm out? Yeah, he did. Did he make contact enough for anyone to fall down? No, he didn't. And, you know, that's because of all this flopping stuff we see.
Ward, and a travel. Boy, they are swarming him whenever he touches the ball.
Well, you're going against a freshman that, you know, when he got doubled in the first half, tried to dribble out, only took 1 dribble and then picked it up and put himself in a bad spot. So he's seeing things that he hasn't seen much of. Now, you can talk all you want in scouting about here's how you handle a double team, but it's hard to do. Chase Jeter is open with Arns on him. He's got to get the ball there.
Jefferson, and a block is called on Arns.
Pick and rolls, people want to know why do pick and rolls get run so much in college now when 20 years ago they weren't this big a part of the game? It's because it's impossible to guard. Yeah. If you run a really good pick and roll, you're going to have to get a rotation over, and it is, when you've got good players running it, it's next to impossible to guard it.
It is amazing how much time is spent in an average practice on defending the pick and roll. How much discussion there is. Do you go over? Do you go under? Weak side help defense, and it's the simplest play in basketball, and it's the hardest play to guard.
It is, and you have all different kind of ball screen coverages. You know, we saw in the first half when there was a miscommunication by Duke on a down or an ice, and so you have to be able to talk, and that's so important for your defense, is talking. You know, the offense not only has to see you, they have to hear you, and when they hear you, then you become a much better defense. So Cassius Winston's got to wait for that screen to be set before he takes off, and he cannot leave the floor to pass. That's the second time he's done that. Going down on the baseline, just either dribble out or dribble to the other side. But leaving the floor to pass has led to nothing but turnovers for him.
And a big problem for Michigan State tonight. 9 turnovers in the second half, 17 on the night. Kennard wide open.
Went underneath. I mean, it's not that Duke doesn't notice this. They see Michigan State consistently going underneath. And Mike Krzyzewski and his staff are telling him, pull up and shoot that. They haven't been hitting early, but they're hitting now.
And a foul on the drive to take us to immediate timeout. Duke and Michigan State were tied at 48. Since then, it's been almost all Blue Devils, including this Kennard 3.
Well, a little dribble handoff. You go underneath, and Luke Kennard from Ohio pulling up.
All right, and thank you. Big Ten leads the ACC 4-3 right now. Duke leads this game by 12. Here are the 6 games tomorrow night, including the 2 games here on ESPN. Purdue-Louisville at 7:15 from the KFC Yum Center, and then North Carolina and Indiana, a sonic blockbuster, 9:15 Eastern time from Bloomington.
Purdue is a really good basketball team. They are huge up front.
Huge.
With Isaac Haas and Caleb Swanigan. And Swanigan is having a great year. I mean, he's the best big guy, I think, in the league. He and Thomas Bryant of Indiana. And man, it has been really impressive to watch them. Purdue can really shoot the ball, and then they've got 2 guys inside that are matchup nightmares.
And I dropped some Swanigan and Haas knowledge on here, some stats on here. Swanigan almost 19 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, shooting 61% from the field. Haas 16.5 points per game, shooting 73% from the field. Obviously most of them are right around the bucket, but Haas is 7'2", 290, and Swanigan is 6'9", 250, and can hurt you outside and inside.
Well, Haas per 40 minutes is averaging over 27 a game. Luke Kennard really leaned into Joshua Langford there and backed him off and then stepped back. It looked like Langford must have grabbed him. A subtle little shoulder into him knocked him back and created that space. Boy, Duke has so many good free throw shooters. They not only shoot an excellent percentage overall, they shoot 75% as a team, but they've got 4 different guys that shoot over 80%. Kennard, Allen, Jones, Jackson. I mean, that's remarkable to have that kind of free throw shooting.
And Kennard will make 1 of 2 as we send it down to Maria.
But you see Luke Kennard has an increased role this season, and he said his focus during the offseason was becoming more aggressive offensively and defensively. It felt like he was completely inconsistent in his first season of play, and you can see, as he's the leading point scorer and assister on this team now, how much he's been able to add to Duke this season.
No question. He has taken his game to the next level, and they have needed that much more from him this year. Duke is 6-1 on the season. The only loss was a 2-pointer to Kansas. Remember Frank Mason making the shot late in the game in the Garden to beat him 77-75. They've got wins over Penn State, Rhode Island by 10 apiece, among other wins tonight so far this year. Allen high off the glass, and it comes down to Bridges. Winston steps into a 3, and Kennard will save it.
In that loss in the Garden to Kansas, Emil Jefferson didn't have one of his better games. He had a bunch of turnovers, and Grayson Allen really shot the ball poorly. But Kansas is really the only team this year that's been able to take Duke out of transition. They didn't score any transition points.
Allen with a crossover, the kick to Jones. Jones, the drive, and the finish.
Boy, that's the way you drive a closeout. And right now, Michigan State is looking exceedingly young.
Goings from Winston with the answer at the other end, but it's still an 11-point lead for the Blue Devils. First field goal for Michigan State in over 6 minutes.
And still with 5 to go, 11 points is not that big of a deal, but you got to get stops and you got to get scores. And right now, Michigan State has looked so young.
Kennard.
Got to outlet that go.
Yeah, Bridges was way ahead of the pack, but nobody saw him. And McQuaid will miss a corner 3. Well, that was a missed opportunity for at least 2 there for the Spartans.
Right now, Duke going to run some clock. They're not going into any kind of delay, but they're just not in a hurry. They're going to make Michigan State guard, reduce the amount of possessions left in the game with this 11-point lead, see if they can move it out a little bit.
No true point guard on the roster for Duke, so Jones, Allen, Kennard, Jackson will all share the ball handling responsibilities.
Ultimately, I think Frank Jackson is going to grow into that role, but Duke can't settle for jump shots here. They got a young team and they're not driving them.
McQuaid has it knocked away.
He's out of bounds.
And that'll be Duke's ball.
Yeah, Michigan State just making a lot of freshman mistakes right now. Duke has made some mistakes in not putting more pressure on the rim late in this ball game. You certainly don't want to settle for jump shots when Michigan State is trying to get back in this thing and they're more likely to foul. It's one thing, Dan, if you're driving, you collapse the defense, you kick it out to an open shooter stepping into a jump shot. But those aren't some of the shots in the last couple of possessions Duke settled for.
4 minutes to go, and it's an 11-point lead for the Blue Devils, who have defeated Michigan State all 3 times they've met in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Wide open, Matt Jones. And way off with the 3. It'll be Michigan State ball when we come back. 3:50 to go, and the Blue Devils with an 11-point lead here at Cameron. Duke by 11 with 3:50 to go here at Cameron in this ACC Big Ten Challenge game presented by LG V20. Sonic blockbuster game. And a bunch more coming your way, including North Carolina and Indiana tomorrow night, to look at some of the other Sonic blockbusters, some of the big games of the college basketball season. Kentucky and Louisville. What more do you have to say about that one? Kansas and Kentucky on a Saturday night in Rupp in January. And then, of course, Duke and Carolina meeting both in Chapel Hill and here in Durham.
Kentucky has a freshman guard tandem of De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk that is stunningly good. I mean, De'Aaron Fox just had a triple-double against Arizona State in the Bahamas the other night, and it was the first triple-double since the 80s at Kentucky, since Chris Mills did it, I think. I mean, you know how many good players they've had there? I mean, I know you do, but remarkable.
Yeah. Harris left it short. Kennard another rebound. And Michigan State, they've turned the ball over like crazy in the second half, and they've gone cold from the floor.
Well, Duke picked up its defense, but Michigan State has been disjointed. And as they get older and get older together, they'll be stronger together and more disciplined. And discipline doesn't mean that they're not well coached or anything, but discipline really means doing the right thing at the right time. And they're too young to do the right thing at the right time right now.
What a second half for Grayson Allen. A loss tonight would drop Michigan State to 4-4. They're unranked. Again, an extremely difficult schedule, both in terms of who they played and how much they've traveled. They go home for 5 in a row as Miles Bridges will leave his footprint here at Cameron after that dunk.
My goodness.
They had a couple of missed dunks in the first half. Comes up with a dunk there, but starting to feel like too little too late for the Spartans. Down a dozen, and Duke again milking the clock.
Geez, you get up to that altitude, the oxygen mask drop down and put it on the person next to you, then put on yours. That was amazing.
He's special. Nairn with a rebound. Michigan State needs a quick score. And a foul by Allen. Let's take another look at that dunk. right over the top of Emil Jefferson.
This is, nobody boxed him out, but when I was in school here a million years ago, Duke played against Maryland, and I happened to be back in a 2-on-1 situation. A guy pulled up for a shot. Actually, it was a 3-on-1. Guy pulled up for a shot, and there was a big guy at the top of the key, and Len Bias was in the corner. So where the shot came from, I thought I should block out the big guy at the top of the key, and I did. I made a great block out. Well, the ball came off to the side, and Bias dunked it like almost better than Miles Bridges did. And Coach K watched the film, said, next time wherever the shot goes, just block out Bias. I go, that's why you're the best in the business.
Overall, though, been kind of a frustrating night for the freshman. We've seen it in a couple of the foul calls, a couple of missed dunks. He's got 11 points, 4 fouls right now. 2:08 to go, and an 11-point lead for Duke as they walk the floor.
This is one of those games where the winner is just going to have gutted it out. And it looks like with 2 minutes to go that Duke's going to wind up winning this game. And I think it's highly unlikely that a young team like Michigan State is going to be able to pull off a comeback like this on the road, but you never know. But I don't think either team has played anywhere near its capabilities. Yeah. Duke is #1 in adjusted offensive efficiency in the KenPom.com ratings. And they've been in the top 10 every year for the last 8 years. Yeah, but this has not been an efficient offensive performance by Duke. It certainly hasn't been by Michigan State on their end. It's scary to think how good Duke could be if they get all their players back, and I think they will. Harry Giles right there in the middle, Jason Tatum, number 0 there, and to the left, Marquise Bolden, all 3 of whom were rated in the top 15 in the country coming out of high school last year. And with those guys, you're looking at a team that's got 8 McDonald's All-Americans and guys that maybe 5 first-round draft picks.
And again, no timetable for their return, but they all are starting to do a little bit more. Harry Giles went through a workout yesterday, Tatum today. Bolden was in the layup line tonight, as was Giles. Sweet feed from Allen to Jefferson. Ward ahead of the pack. And Michigan State has not had nearly enough of that in the second half.
Well, Mike Krzyzewski's got to be upset with his transition defense. Michigan State is a very good running team, but Duke has given up, for a team of this caliber, given up way too much in transition. He looks like he's giving them the what for over right now. There's no communication. People are not guarding the guy running down, the rim runner, Nick Ward. And Grayson Allen, such a good driver, but even better shooter. He really struggled shooting the ball. That toe injury can't be easy to play with. Well, what did Coach K describe that as? Kind of like a turf toe, right, as far as pain is concerned?
Yeah, and it's up to, it has to do just with how much pain tolerance there is for Allen. He's aggravated it a couple of times since he suffered it initially, but he's had a huge second half. 16 points in the second half, 24 points, 4 assists on the night.
Well, he's not even practicing. Yeah. So he doesn't practice at all. And it's a similar situation, I think, to what, if I remember right, what Seth Curry had a few years ago, back in, what it was, 2013, where he played in games, but he wasn't able to practice. They weren't willing to take risks with him in practice. They wanted to take every risk in a game. And Grayson Allen right now is going through that same thing.
And again, Duke has used only 6 players in this game, the 5 starters, and then Jeter's gotten 21 minutes off the bench.
Just trying to keep the floor spread now, use some clock, and then be strong with the ball and be ready to go to the line and shoot free throws.
Michigan State will play out the possession. Jones is open. Kennard with the putback. Very strong night for Luke Kennard. He's got 19.
3 green shirts trying to block out 2 guys, and they don't get it done.
Goins with a lay-in. Boy, a game that was tied at the end of the first half, had 7 ties and 5 lead changes in the first 20 minutes alone, has been all Duke ever since it was tied at 48, actually. They went on an 11-0 run, and they haven't seriously been threatened since.
Well, experience wound up winning this thing. Duke's experience was the difference. 2 great programs.
And this will extend Duke's home court non-conference winning streak to 130, which is 89 ahead of Wichita State for the longest active streak in the country in that department. Timeout with just 20 seconds left, and it's an 8-point lead for Duke.
Well, you think about what Michigan State has been through in November, the quality of schedule and how much travel. But Duke's Grayson Allen has been excellent, as you noted, Dan, the second half. You go underneath these screens, and both he and Luke Kennard has been making Michigan State pay, just pulling up to shoot. And he's also an excellent driver. That was what got him going, that drive there when he laid that in, and then a really good read off out of bounds underneath, getting Cassius Winston on the outside and cutting right off to get the ball. You know, Grayson Allen is such a dynamic scorer, averaged over 21 a game last year. Man, when you're not healthy, it's hard to get a rhythm, and when you're not practicing, it is hard to get a rhythm.
And the Blue Devils just hoping to get healthy at some point before conference play. If the toe can continue to improve for Allen, if some of the freshmen can come back.
You know who's not healthy either is Michigan State. You know, Michigan State lost Gavin Schilling and Ben Carter.
Yep.
They had those two guys. You know, they'd be a lot more experienced and a lot more potent on the backboards. You know, both teams have had injury situations.
Both out indefinitely after knee surgery. They also, Tom Izzo kind of thought Deontay Davis, there was an excellent chance that he would be back this year, but he went to the NBA after his freshman season. So when he looked at this schedule that they've gone through, he thought he had Carter, he thought he had Schilling, he thought he had Davis. He's got none of them. But again, how many times have we seen such a rugged schedule early for Michigan State and how it benefits them later on in the season? They just get better and better over the year.
Yeah, they will get better, but I've never seen them have a schedule quite like this one. I don't know why they foul now. There's just 12 seconds left. If you're going to foul, you would have fouled a long time ago. Yeah, this schedule they've got this year, they're playing 4 top 20 teams in November, which is really unusual. And then the amount of travel. I mean, they went all the way to Honolulu, then to New York to play Kentucky, then back to East Lansing, then all the way down to the Bahamas, and then they wind up here in Durham. I mean, that's a pretty stout November.
And now they go home for most of December. They play 5 home games in the month of December before they open up conference play on the 27th of the month at Minnesota. Duke will stay home, and they will play Maine here in a few days, a game you can see on ESPN2 on the 3rd of December. Then they'll play Florida in the Jimmy V next week up in New York. Sports Center with SVP coming up next here on ESPN. Final seconds ticking away as Duke will defeat Michigan State. The Blue Devils go to 16-2 all time in the ACC Big Ten Challenge as they beat the Spartans 78-69. And Mike Krzyzewski goes to 10-1 all time against Tom Izzo. The final score from Cameron: Duke 78, Michigan State 69 here in this ACC Big Ten Challenge game. For Jay Billis, Maria Taylor, and our entire ESPN NCAA crew, I'm Dan Shulman as we set it out to Sports Center at night with Scott Van